Thousands of years before the fall of Bast, the title-locked Moon of Kenshi was home to the First Empire, a prosperous and advanced continent-spanning civilization ruled by highly advanced ancients that may have had a caste system, placing humans as the dominant ruling power over the skeleton robots they created. These robots were strong, resilient, and if properly maintained, could survive indefinitely unless physically destroyed. At some point, the First Empire went to war with an unknown enemy, but achieved victory by building giant behemoth robots with enormous destructive capabilities. Growing fearful of these behemoths, who were now without purpose, humans ordered the giant robots into a massive pit and buried them in metal. Ironically, it was because of the behemoth's loyalty that they marched toward their own destruction without resistance. Even thousands of years later, one could visit the behemoth graveyard and see the price of obedience. Possibly serving as a pivotal turning point, it may have been the behemoth massacre that caused skeletons to turn against their creators and start a civil war or some kind of rebel movement seeking the extinction of humanity. Perhaps they used superweapons, instigated an environmental disaster, or used biological weapons. But regardless, many humans died, with some few only spared thanks to Stobe, the last of the behemoth giants, who through unknown means survived the Obedience Massacre. Thousands of years later, many remembered Stobe as a monster who led the skeletons in their bloody campaign of extinction. But evidence actually suggested he fought against the skeletons and sacrificed his life to save the last of humanity. Just as obedience survived for thousands of years, so too did the corpse of Stobe, still found in an area called Stobe's Garden. In awe of Stobe's heroism, many skeletons were deeply ashamed of their actions and could not live with the guilt, resulting in some lost to mass suicides, while others learned to live with the pain, forever plagued by bouts of depression. There are even some who believed the skeleton practice of regularly wiping their memories to avoid insanity may have originated from the madness induced by causing and witnessing the first extinction. Others, however, claim this does not entirely erase their memories, with many skeletons simply using it as an excuse to avoid discussing what they know about the first extinction and other unpleasant events of the past. After the fall of the First Empire, skeletons became the dominant power of the continent, but the loss of so much technology led to a chaos age, where surviving humans descended into primitive barbarism, while the robot population drastically decreased, both from mass suicides and their inability to make more of their kind using the factories located in an area that became the Floodlands. Even after the Chaos Age, the skeletons could not escape the guilt of the first extinction, and so a group of robot heroes banded together to found the Second Empire, seeking redemption for their kind by creating a safe and prosperous environment for humanity. Led by their greatest warrior, the Emperor cat-lon, who was advised by his friend Tinfist, they established a capital in the southeast and expanded to become a mighty power with a caste system of their own, this time placing skeletons as the dominant masters. To protect the human population, cat-lon established a police force under General Hat 12, an army which included the legendary Hydraulic Knights under General Jang. Possibly created to supplement the limited robot population, their military forces may have also included the Enforcers, genetically enhanced humans whose physical traits and mental abilities were dedicated to warfare. Adept at genetic engineering, it was possible the Second Empire created other subspecies, like the human Greenlanders, who had a slightly heightened ability to farm, perform scientific research, and cook, as well as Scorchlanders, who specialized in adventuring and crafting, as they were faster, more agile, stealthier, healed faster, and were able to eat raw meat. Some even claimed it was the Second Empire, or a rogue faction of skeletons that created the Hivers as a worker caste, since they excelled at manual labor and when in a hive, followed their queen's orders without question. Prospering during an age when the sea levels rose greatly, the Second Empire possessed seafaring technology and often sent their forces to combat piracy, as well as the northern cannibal tribes, doing great damage to these enemies despite failing to eradicate these threats entirely. Though the Second Empire thrived for many years, the growing human population eventually rebelled, thanks in part to the emergence of a cult that worshipped Stove, revering the giant robot for saving their people while resenting the skeletons who nearly wiped them out. Eventually organizing themselves into a humanocentric religion, the cultists started clashing with the government, and so cat-lon sent police and military forces to restore order. Yet the Emperor's iron-fisted approach only escalated the conflict, slowly weakening the realm until the cultists broke away to form the Holy Nation in the fertile lands at the center of the continent. As the situation worsened, cat-lon grew so aggressive and tyrannical, he started killing innocent citizens and locking human children in cages with the help of Rhinobot, who lacked moral processing. Understanding the madness of this anti-human campaign, many skeletons abandoned the Second Empire, including the Emperor's friend Tin Fist, who still desired to help humanity and so became a liberator of slaves. Unwilling to allow any further betrayal, cat-lon removed the sentience from many of his remaining skeleton followers, turning them into mindless robot slaves. The final catastrophe then came from a great famine, which at last saw the state dissolve, with individual peoples migrating to more resource-rich lands, or else ending their association with the Second Empire. As all this occurred, cat-lon remained on his throne in the capital, surrounded by mindless storm thralls, unwilling to see the error of his ways, stewing in anger and bitterness for the next 1,000 years. Those few skeletons who were not thralled yet remained loyal to cat-lon formed the Skeleton Legion, continuing to patrol the Ashlands in the name of their Mad Emperor. Yet few of these loyalists remained, and so most of these contingents were made up of mindless Legion thralls. Other non-sentient robots which patrolled the region included Cleanser units, Iron Spiders, Screamer units, and Legion Scouts. After abandoning the Second Empire, the population scattered in every direction as some humans became nomads, formed gangs, joined cults, or formed independent realms and settlements, while those seeking larger states could join the Holy Nation under the theocratic government of the Holy Phoenix, or the United Cities, formed as a successor state to the Second Empire through an alliance of settlements in the south and northeast of the continent, ruled by a feudal aristocracy and emperor. As for the Hivers, they grew into several distinct sub-races led by individual queens, living in hives across the west and south, while the Enforcers migrated to the southwest and became the Shek, living as warring tribes until united by the hero Crawl, who founded the Shek Kingdom. Meanwhile, some of the skeletons that parted ways with cat-lon's empire went mad, were reprogrammed, went to banditry and cults, or else settled in various areas across the continent, including their own settlement, Black Desert City in the Deadlands, where they were protected from outsiders by harsh environmental conditions, including constant acid rain. As many of their kind retained memories from long ago, some robots became scholars, like Io, the second in command at the Great Research Lab in World's End, who made it his mission to hide certain parts of their history, presumably in an effort to avoid further discrimination and hostility against skeleton kind. Although the Second Empire exiles remained at war with all organic races, by the fall of Bast, most other skeleton robots got along well with outsiders, even welcoming them to Black Desert City if they could survive the environmental conditions, where they could shop at the Scrap House, which served as the finest weapons shop on the continent. However, robot kind did not get along with the citizens of the Holy Nation, descended from the human cultists of the Second Empire, who never forgot their hatred for skeletons, considering them on the lowest tier of their racial hierarchy, believing they were irredeemable agents of Narco, seeking a second extinction of humanity, and thus should be killed on sight. The cannibal tribes of the north also remained hostile to skeletons, passing on stories of their ancient wars, ever fearful of the inedible ones, likely referring to the hydraulic knights of the Second Empire. Looking for something new to read? Then why not check out The Frozen God, Book 2 of the Heroes of the Nine Realms by Alex E. Martin, a longtime supporter of the channel. A thrilling continuation of the story from Book 1, Fugitives of Helheim, Follow Sigurd and his shape-shifting brother as they find themselves fugitives, doomed to travel across the 9 realms to fulfill a series of impossible, God-given tasks. Though they won't get far with just their father's sword, true hope may lie in their family's darkest secret. In this chilling second installment of the Heroes of the 9 Realms, Sigurd the Dragon Slayer and his brother must brave sunless realms cold enough to freeze blood, ancient vengeful kings, and primordial old ones. They must forge alliances with gods and dwarves and face primordial foes in battles that will shape the foundations of the 9 realms and reshape destiny itself. The Frozen God is another epic, dark mythic fantasy for fans of Norse mythology, gods, epic quests, action and adventure, and forbidden magic. So if you're interested, be sure to check out The Frozen God, available now on Amazon. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Tamika the Black Wolf, Faith the Wandering Huntress, Mamoru the Obscured Hermit Alchemist, and Ambassador Alex Nunez. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.